Welcome to an off-season edition of Giants Roundup. It is Wednesday, February 13th. You can join the Crooked Kite page on Facebook, follow on Twitter. Most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I was originally going to come on air Sunday. I've been really busy this week with other stuff, so I'm going to try to do it tonight. Tonight's show is just a little bit of free agency and talk about the remaining free agents where I think they could end up landing at this point. Today, pitchers and catchers report to camp, and we are about and spring training begins in 2 weeks. No, actually next week. Believe it or not, spring training starts next Thursday when Seattle plays Oakland to kick off the spring training season. The Giants' first spring training game will be on February 23rd, next Saturday, as they will head to Tempe to play the LA Angels. So that's right. We are just 1 week away from the beginning of spring training. Now on to this week's signings. And we're going to start with a big trade as the Philadelphia Phillies acquire their power bat in JT Realmuto. And 4 prospects going back to Miami in return: Jorge Alfaro, Sixto Sanchez, Will Stewart, and international slot money going back in this trade. Realmuto will certainly be that power bat the Phillies were really lacking this last season, so he will definitely be in a great spot to anchor the batting order in Philadelphia. Former Giant Hunter Pence signs a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers for about $2 million. And there's a good chance that I don't expect Pence to be playing in the outfield next year. If he does make the Rangers roster, I think this would be a good fit for Hunter Pence to play DH in Texas next year. And that's what I kind of see Hunter Pence as of this year is he is simply just a designated hitter at this point. I really don't see him being an outfielder at this point of his career, so I wish him a lot of luck in Arlington. I think he'll be a great DH over there. And then the Miami Marlins signed Curtis Granderson to a minor league contract. Granderson definitely looking to continue his career. The Nationals bring back Jeremy Hellickson to a 1-year, $4 million contract. Hellickson is certainly the swingman, can pitch out of the pen, could start. He will be likely asked to be the number 5 starter for the Nationals, who's already got a death rotation, and Hellickson to anchor the back end of the rotation. And he pitched pretty well in DC last year, pitching a 3.45 ERA, so not too bad at all on that one. The Kansas City Royals signed Brad Boxberger to a 1-year contract. Could be in line to likely going to be the closer next year after struggling in Arizona last season. But he did unfortunately gave up too many walks. But he also could more likely be in the setup role in Kansas City with Willie Peralta taking over the closer role in Kansas City. So, and then Francisco Lindor out 7 to 9 weeks. Kansas City also signs Homer Bailey to a minor league contract. The Milwaukee Brewers signed Brett Lowry to a minor league contract. And then former Giant Sergio Romo signs with the Miami Marlins to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Could certainly play an opener role with the Miami Marlins this year and could help with the rebuild campaign there. Unfortunately, Romo has been susceptible to giving up the big fly the last season. And we'll see if Romo ends up closing, and as you got Drew Streckenrider next year and Adam Conley likely competing for that closer job next year for the Marlins. And then the Arizona Diamondbacks signed Caleb Joseph to a 1-year, $1 million contract. The Oakland A's add some pitching help today by signing Brett Anderson to a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. But the key challenge with Brett Anderson is that he has not been able to stay healthy the last few seasons. But Anderson certainly could serve the back end of the rotation on an Oakland rotation that needs some arms. And I still think the A's are going to still be in the market for starting pitching. And then the A's signed Robbie Grossman to a 1-year, $2 million contract. He was non-tendered by the Minnesota Twins last year after projecting to earn $4 million. But he will likely be coming off the bench. And then the Phillies extend Aaron Nola. But stay tuned. Next week we do start divisional previews. That's coming up next week. And the Giants sign Gerardo Parra to a 1-year minor league contract. He could be another guy that I think I kind of see him as another Gregor Blanco. Maybe he splits time with Mac Williamson in left field. But I think Parra could likely be more of a fourth outfielder, maybe fifth outfielder. Could definitely be the fourth. I think he more likely him and Drew Ferguson will compete for the fourth outfielder spot in spring training with Duggar. It'll be interesting to see. And Duggar's returning from shoulder surgery. And they got Austin Slater, who I think Slater could be a guy that will be on the roster. You got Mac Williamson, who he's out of options, and I don't think they want to give up on Mac Williamson. Of course, they're in the hunt for Bryce Harper. We'll get on to that a little bit later. But I could see Parra maybe platooning with either Mac Williamson or Austin. I think Austin Slater. More likely Parra and Slater platoons in left. You see Mac Williamson in right and Steven Duggar in center field. Barring any other signings at this point. And I don't think the Giants are done signing outfielder help. I don't know what's going to happen with Drew Ferguson, but I think Ferguson's going to stay up since he is a Rule 5 draftee. I'm curious to see what Drew Ferguson could do in spring training. But I can't see them being done making any more signings. We'll get to that in a moment there. But Parra is maybe to me another Gregor Blanco. But also the Giants signed Stephen Voigt to a minor league contract. And he likely goes and plays in Sacramento. Jose Lopez signed to the acquired, and then the Giants made another acquisition today. We'll get to that. And yes, he's gone, and I don't think he's coming back. Josh Osich, designated for assignment. Osich has not been great the last few years. I've just kind of been waiting for them to cut ties with Josh Osich. He's been designated for assignment today. And I think once he clears waivers, he will likely be a free agent. I don't see them giving him an option to return. I think certainly he easily clears waiver. But I think it's got to be somewhere in another organization. I think Osich has just had too many chances with the Giants, and I wish Josh Osich a lot of luck. Maybe latches on elsewhere, but Jose Lopez is going to take Osich's spot. With the Cincinnati Reds AAA team last year, he was 5-13, 4.47 ERA, 7.747 K9, so not too bad. But I think he likely goes to Sacramento after this year. I think he goes to Sacramento after spring training. Also, the Giants claimed another pitcher off the waiver wire. I think his name is Gott. Here we are. Giants claim right-hander Trevor Gott off of waivers for cash considerations. And the Giants placed Johnny Cueto on the 60-day injured list to make roster space. That's a new thing this year for Major League Baseball. They are no longer going to be using the word disabled list anymore for hurt players. It's now the injured list, or better known as, or what will likely be called the IL. So that is going to take some time for baseball fans to get used to. Disabled list is out of here. In is injured list. But Gott is a flamethrower, 26 years old. Last year he had a 4.64 ERA, 6.19, 6.1 K9 rate, 3.8 walk rate. And he has a two-seamer that has a 54.4 3% ground ball rate. So I think Gott is a guy who will likely be a just another depth arm for Sacramento. Maybe Gott is this year's Pierce Johnson. I think we see Gott's probably going to be on the fringes of the 25-man roster. Kind of see him along the same lines as Ray Black this year. Could be busting back and forth. Another guy who was designated for assignment this week was Derek Law. And I don't think this was a long time coming too. Derek Law has had a lot of opportunities the last few years to show the Giants what he's made of. The year one, he looked great, but has just not been able to develop another pitch beyond that rainbow curve. And he did clear waivers, going to head to Sacramento, but I just don't see Law being back in the show anytime soon. I think Derek Law is Law was just not good with the Giants the last couple years. As the Giants claim an outfielder off of waivers. And also the Giants did sign another catcher with Rene Rivera. I think Rivera is certainly a guy who could be on the inside track to back up Buster Posey next year, depending on how Steven Voigt does and how late he gets into spring training. But I think your two catchers next year could be Rivera and Posey. Maybe it goes with Rivera, and you could plausibly also see Aramis Garcia go with three catchers, depending on where Posey is by the time the season starts. Now, the Giants claim John Andrioli from the Rangers for outfielding help. I think he's more likely to start in AAA, 61 big league at-bats with a 230, 284, 262 slash line. He was a 3.97 on-base percentage, so I don't think he's going to be on the Giants roster anytime in the near future. Maybe more of a depth move at this point. And then also the Giants did sign Rene Rivera. I think he will be the guy backing up Buster Posey this next season. And it is to a minor league contract. And also today in camp, it looks like Madison Bumgarner pitched with Joey Bart. So I think that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of intrigued to see how well Joey Bart does in spring training. Definitely going to be the Giants' catcher of the future. And of course, you got Hamlet Marte, Aramis Garcia, Cameron Rupp. So may the catcher competition begin. on that. Now on to the main part of tonight's show, which is the remaining free agents and where I think they could end up going. You still got Martin Maldonado still available. He maybe signs the minor league contract somewhere. Okay, Nick Hundley signed with the Oakland A's today, so Nick Hundley will not be with the Giants organization. That's kind of a bummer. But he might have a good shot of winning an everyday job with the Oakland A's next year. And I think he'll have a lot of fun catching for the A's next year. So good luck to Nick Hundley there. You still got Matt Wieters. Maybe he gets a minor league contract somewhere. But that's what's left there. First baseman, you got Hanley Ramirez. I think he just retires. Logan Morrison, maybe he signs a minor league contract somewhere. Josh Harrison still available. I don't know really where he ends up at this point. Maybe the White Sox, or I'm thinking maybe the San Diego Padres if they get desperate enough to try to bring in a power bat. I think that's where I think Harrison most likely ends up, or Logan Forsythe is over there in San Diego. As San Diego is looking for power at any point, at some point, anywhere at this point. Third baseman Mike Moustakas getting victimized yet again of another slow free agency. I kind of think that's another place where I think San Diego might be my front runner to land Mike Moustakas, or actually the Chicago White Sox would be my second choice between those two. Danny Valencia, a negative 0.4 win above replacement. Maybe he goes on a minor league contract somewhere along with Chase Headley. Yangervis Solarte still surprisingly a free agent. I think Solarte is another one that will end up signing a minor league contract somewhere. Jose Iglesias, minor league contract somewhere. Denny Echevarrias, I think, gets a minor league contract. Alcides Escobar, minor league contract. Marwin Gonzalez. I'm not sure where he ends up with. Got Derek Dietrich. And this is maybe where the Giants look for outfielding if they – this could be a fallback option if they miss out on Bryce Harper. I think Derek Dietrich could certainly be a cheap power guy that could be a fallback option. You got Craig Gentry. Cameron Maybin, that's another – he may not hit for power, but he certainly has a good glove, and I think he could be a good defensive arm for the Giants. Another good fallback option if they do not land Harper. Adam Jones, not sure where he ends up at this point. Maybe he takes a bench role with a contending team. Austin Jackson likely goes to a minor league contract. Jose Bautista just likely retires. Carlos Gonzalez. That's tough. I think Carlos Gonzalez could be another guy that ends up with the White Sox. I'm thinking maybe the Chicago White Sox might take a flyer on him if he's still available when it's all said and done. And then starting pitching, there's surprisingly some good arms available. They might want to strike off Doug Fister. He announced his retirement today. Yvonne Gallardo maybe takes a minor league contract somewhere. Chris Tillman. Irvin Santana, maybe he goes to – I think this could be a good fit. Might be the Oakland A's. Definitely had some great years with the Twins. I'm surprised. Nope. I don't know if he's retired yet or not. But yeah, maybe Irvin Santana could be a guy who's looking for a rebound campaign at this point. And I kind of think Oakland's would be a good landing spot for him. Another good landing spot for Irvin Santana could be the Tampa Bay Rays, maybe the San Diego Padres, maybe even the LA Angels. But I kind of think I'd say he goes to the Oakland A's. And then you got Bartolo Colon, who might be bullpen at this point. James Shields, I kind of think I kind of see him going with a reunion with Tampa Bay next year. Maybe he's the back-end starter in Tampa Bay for the Rays, and that's kind of where Gio Gonzalez. I'm surprised he's still available. I think he's the second best arm after Dallas Keuchel. And, I kind of think Gio Gonzalez, if I had to predict where he ends up, he either goes back to the Milwaukee Brewers, or I think option B, I think he ends up taking good money to maybe go to San Diego. I think he signs with the San Diego Padres. With the Padres definitely trying to look for a veteran presence in the rotation. Gonzalez may not be an ace in the rotation, but he is still a good front-end starter. So I kind of think San Diego could be a good spot for him. James Shields, I went through him. And then bullpen arms still available. Tony Sipp, Nick Vincent, scratch off Jake Diekman. Jake Diekman today signed with the Kansas City Royals. Tyler Clippard, he might. So Aaron Loop, you got Bud Norris. I kind of don't know where Bud Norris ends up. I'm a little surprised teams are not bursting at the seams for Bud Norris, but if I had to think, maybe he goes to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers could use another back-end bullpen arm, and I think Bud Norris could be a solution for the LA Dodgers along with Jorge De La Rosa. Or Boone Logan. Now on to the bigger names. I'm going to start off with Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel looking for ace money. I kind of think Keuchel is now reaching the point where he needs to sign with the team, and I think Keuchel's going to have to maybe take a contract similar to what Jake Arrieta took a lot last year with the Philadelphia Phillies. If I had to pick a favorite to land Dallas Keuchel, it would probably be the Milwaukee Brewers at this point. The Brewers are a contender this year. he could really solidify that rotation in Milwaukee, and he would be a number 2 behind Jimmy Nelson, with Jimmy Nelson expected to return for the Milwaukee Brewers this year. So I think I'm going to say my top choice would be the Brewers for Dallas Keuchel. Second, I think if after the Milwaukee Brewers, next choice for me would be the LA Angels. The Angels looking for an ace, and I think Keuchel could be that guy that, with the Angels really trying to revamp that rotation to make the Angels a contender next year. It is the window of opportunity starting to close before Mike Trout hits free agency. So I really think maybe the Angels could be tempted to overpay for Dallas Keuchel, or even possibly, I kind of think that could be a good landing spot for Gio Gonzalez, could be the Angels. And San Diego, I'd say less likely goes to San Diego. Another team that might pay ace money, say they don't get Harper Machado, the Chicago White Sox. I think the White Sox could maybe pay Dallas Keuchel ace money, as they are looking for a rotation ace in Chicago, try to bring hope and good luck to the Southsiders. Next big name I'm going to go with is Manny Machado. I think he goes to the Chicago White Sox. Probably takes something close to a $200 million contract, but he will become the face of the Chicago White Sox franchise. Maybe takes something like $160 million, 5-year, $160 million contract. But my prediction is he ends up out there with the Southsiders, and he becomes part of the face of the new Chicago White Sox. And then on to the big name left in free agency, Bryce Harper. They've got the Giants and they've got the Phillies as the 2 front runners at this point. Zaidi definitely not willing to give Harper a long-term contract, that which I am in total agreement. And I think Harper certainly getting burned by analytics and modern-day baseball after all these contracts worth $200, $300 million have gone to blow up on a lot of owners and general managers' faces. So Harper certainly becoming the victim of it, and whatever contract he is forced to settle to take at this point, I kind of think, don't be surprised if he goes, if that $300 million offer is still on the table for him to go back to the Nationals. I think he takes that, or he goes to Philadelphia. But if maybe Buster Posey and Madison Bumgarner can make the pitch for Harper to maybe take a shorter-term contract to play for the Giants, then I think it goes with the Giants. But my gut feeling thinks it's going to be Philadelphia. He's just going to get as much money as he can in as many years as he can of guaranteed money. And really, Philadelphia is the only team opening the checkbook as much as they are to get Bryce Harper, now with JT Realmuto over there. I kind of think this, and also Citizens Bank Ballpark is a great place to hit home runs. AT&T Park. It'd be nice to see Harper smash some baseballs in McCovey Cove, but I just don't know. I'm kind of pessimistic about Harper signing in San Francisco. But sorry, Giants fans, I think he takes the extra years and goes to Philadelphia. But I think the Giants bring in a guy like Dietrich or Maben after. But I think we're going to see a lot of signings in the next week or so, with spring training starting next weekend. So a lot of free agents have to get off the pot at this point. Just Training camps have started. It's spring training's here. It's time. We start divisional previews next week, or on Sunday, that is. Everybody have a good Valentine's Day. We'll see you Sunday night. We're going to start off with the AL East Sunday night. So get excited. Spring training just 1 week away. Just 1 week away. Enjoy. Good night.